Welcome back to the vlog. We're going to be playing at Capital Casino. It is my home casino, and I love playing in there. The games are really good. But this summer, I think I'm going to do a little bit of traveling, and I'm looking for new places to play that allow vloggers to vlog. So if your home casino is vlogger friendly, I'd like to know about it, because I'm going to try to plan some sort of road trip. Maybe I'll bring a friend with me. No, it's not going to be Zeus. He's a little bit difficult to travel with.
I don't know why you don't want to travel with me. I am man's best friend, so I'm your best friend. Why don't you want to go places with me? You're always hanging out with those new poker buddies of yours. I want to go. I want to go on a trip. I haven't met a dog from Texas or Florida.
But I'm really looking forward to visiting other casinos and seeing what the action is. I was thinking about making a trip out to maybe Texas, maybe Florida, maybe back east. Who knows? Put your casino in the comments below. Tell me what games they have there and if they're vlogger friendly. And it might be on my travel list coming up soon. Until then, sit back, relax, enjoy. Here it comes. We're back at Capital Casino here in Sacramento, California. Jump into the 1-3 game, buy in for $500, and off we go. First hand we get involved in, there are 4 limpers, and I look down at 2 kings. Decided to raise it up to 25, and to my surprise, everybody seemed to just want to fold. So I'll pick up the dead money, and we'll move on to the next hand. Similar situation, this time I have jacks, and I ended up raising in the cutoff to 20, and the 2 limpers decided they don't want to play. So apparently they're a little scared of me, so it gives me a little bit more emboldenment to make some moves. So player opens up for a raise for 10. I got 9-7 suited. It's really not worth that much, but if everyone's going to be folding, I might as well do some more raising. So I want a lot of small pots early on using this method. So after winning a bunch of little small pots, I finally get my first resistance after I raise with ace-queen suited. I'm in the hijack. I get the button calling me for $20. And we're going to go heads up to a flop. Flop comes out pretty damn good for our particular hand. It comes queen high with 1 spade. So not only do we get top pair, but we have a backdoor flush draw. Of course, I'm going to c-bet this for 20. He puts in the very quick call. So I think he has some piece of this at this point. Turn card comes as 8 of hearts. Not the greatest card. It puts up a backdoor flush draw, plus it completes the obvious straight. I'm a little worried that he might have a hand like Jack 10, so I decided to bet a little bit on the larger side. If he wants to draw to that kind of hand, he's going to have to pay for it. Well, the game just got a whole lot more interesting. A young player sits down in seat 9 and buys in for $500. He seems like he's ready and willing to gamble. He puts out a $15 straddle right away, and it's obvious that he's looking for some action. The undergun player calls the 15 and now it's to me. I decide to put in a raise to 80. It's folded back around to the straddler, who just ships his rack of chips into the pot. I'm sure the +1 player is going to end up folding. If he had a hand strong enough to call a $500 all-in shove, he definitely would have been raising pre-flop. So I'm not too worried about him. I'm just trying to figure out if I can call off with ace-9. Against most players, I wouldn't even think about it. This will probably just hit the muck. But I have a feeling this guy is really wanting to gamble. And I think that his raising range and all-in range is pretty wide. Did you look?
Yeah, I looked.
I'm gambling with you.
Here's Queen Doug. Oh, you're good. Jack high.
I got an ace.
Oh! Nice. Good call.
Here I am with pocket 3s in the small blind. It's a limp pot. I just completed. Figure I'll see a cheap flop. Hopefully I can hit a 3, and sure enough, the flop comes ace, king, 3. In this position, I'm just going to check and hope someone bets. Everyone else checked it around. Ace comes on the turn. I check it again, and it gets checked around one time. I'm going, man, I guess I just have to bet my own hand. And I lead out for $15, really hoping to cool someone off with queen jack, and that made a straight. First person thinks about it for a little bit, says, I'm not going to give you any money, and he tosses it in. The next player thinks about it for only a short period of time before he throws in the $15. I roll over my pocket 3s, and he shows ace 10. Yeah, ace 10 for a full house. In the last few weeks, if I had that hand, I would have got tons of action from a really deep stack player and got felted. Man, things must be changing because I have, I mean, I have a full house. I lost $15 plus the $3 for the limp in. $18 on a full house. Man, things must be changing. I mean, how lucky can I be there? He doesn't raise with ace 10? Wow. I pick up king queen suited, open for a raise to 15. The player on my direct left and the +1 makes it 45. It's folded around to the player on the button, who was the player who shoved his entire stack in with jack 10 last time. He cold calls the 45, and when it gets back around me, I got king queen suited. I'm not going anywhere. I put in the $30 to make the call, and we're going to go 3 ways to a flop of queen 8-4 all spades. So we got top pair, but it's not a pretty looking board. I decided to check it over to the initial 3-better, and he puts in a bet for $40. Now the player on the button assembles a bet for $125. I get out of the way. I might be good here, but I don't think so. I think I'm probably up against either a queen with a bigger kicker or a mate flush. So after I fold, the other player calls. Turn card is a 5 of hearts. First player checks. Next player makes a substantial bet. And wow, I'm just thinking I would be forced to fold at this point. Pretty strong bet on his part. The other player who peeked at his cards earlier is going to maybe peek at them again. But I'm thinking he has something like ace queen with the ace of spades, or maybe pocket kings with the king of spades, something like that. I think he has like a big pair and a flush draw. So after thinking for a while, he does decide to put in the money for the call. And we're going to get to see a river card, and it is the ace of hearts. So horrible river card for my particular hand. The other player jams all in. He gets snap called. He turns over ace king with the king of spades. He made a pair of aces on the end. The other player called with queen 8 offsuit. That's right, queen 8 offsuit for $45 pre-flop, and flop 2 pair and scoops this $1,100 pot. Now the real reason I put this hand in here is so you can see how my luck has changed. Let's say that this player under the gun raises to 45 and everyone folds to me. I'm going to flop top pair with a king kicker. I'm going to be calling all the way down to the end and getting rivered when he makes a pair of aces. But since the other player who's playing queen 8 offsuit for a $45 bet flops top 2 and makes a big wager, I'm able to get away with only a small loss on this hand. So sometimes when you run bad, you get crushed in ways you shouldn't have, and when you run good, you win a lot of pots. This way, I think so far in the last 2 hands, I've been running good because I haven't been losing a lot on the hands I probably should have lost a lot of money on. So I'm happy my run bad is over. Maybe you can call this a run neutral, but I'm glad that this was only a small loss. So I'm over at a different table now, and there's a player who opens up weekly with $12 whenever he has a weak hand. So he does that. Next player puts in the call for the 12. I just decided to make it 75. I said, what the heck, I might probably just squeeze everybody out here. There's a player in the cutoff who cold calls the 75. So I haven't played with him before, really don't know what that means when he cold calls 75, but naturally I'm kind of concerned that he might have an ace with a bigger kicker than mine. If he had a big pair, he probably would have, repopped it. He seemed a little hesitant calling. So we go 3 ways to his flop of Jack 6-6 with 2 clubs. I do have a backdoor flush draw, and when the first player checks, I decided I'm going to try to represent that I have an overpair or at least a pair of jacks, and I bet out for $80. The player in the cutoff thinks for, I don't know, 20 seconds or so, and it seems like he's unsure of what to do here. So I'm thinking he might have some sort of flush draw. Maybe he has a pocket pair, or perhaps he has a jack with a weak kicker and he's unsure whether he should be calling down. But he does make the call, the other player folds out, and we get a blank on the turn. And at this point, I should either give up or bet big, trying to represent something. And instead of doing either one of those, I just like a 1/3 pot bet, which is, looking back on this, really, really bad, because it gives all those questionable hands probably the correct odds to continue. I mean, if I make this like 220 instead of 120, that would put a lot of pressure on those hands that, are unsure whether their hand is worth anything.
Yeah, I don't think 220 is even big enough. You either have to shove all in or just check this and hope to get to a showdown. Because an unknown player who calls 80 on the flop and he calls you a raise pre-flop, I doubt he's going anywhere for $120. He's probably not going anywhere for $220. The only way to get him off anything is to shove, and you can be walking right into the nuts.
Anyway, he tanks again, this time for like 30 or 40 seconds. And finally, he decides on the call. And once he does, I'm giving up on the hand because I figure I don't have a deep enough stack to force him out. I would only have like a $200 river bet, and that wouldn't be enough to fold out anything that would call 120 on the turn unless they totally brick out and have a ace high flush draw, like say ace 10 of clubs or ace queen of clubs. So when the river card comes as a 10, I wave the white flag and surrender, and he turns over pocket sevens. So I think he was calling me down no matter what. A couple hands later, similar situation, same player opens up for a raise to 10. I look down at two kings in the big blind. I make it 40. I'm just hoping to get some action. He doesn't have a lot of chips behind, maybe like $150, $160. He does assemble a call and put it in there. So I'm hoping he has something, and I can get the rest of his stack in there. Flop comes out, and it's perfect for my particular hand. It's 4-4-3, so I doubt he's in there with a 4. I'm hoping he has a middle-sized pocket pair that will call. I lead out for 25, and he quickly folds, so we win a small one. We were doing a lot of raising with suited connectors. Here I have 9-8 suited, open for a raise. I get one caller, and then the big blind makes a large bet to $100. Nothing to do here. He doesn't have a very deep stack. He only has, I think he bought in for $200. So this is an easy fold. The next hand, there's a couple limps in front of me. I look down at two jacks and raise to 20. It ends up getting folded back around to the player who first limped, and they put in the call, and so does the next player. So we're going to go 3 ways to this flop with $64 in the pot. Flop comes out 9-6 deuce rainbow. So excellent flop for an overpair. They both check over to me. I continue for $30. Only the first limper ends up putting in the call. And so we go see a turn card, which is a 5 of clubs. This brings in the obvious straight draw of 7-8. Also puts up a backdoor flush draw. When they check it over to me, I decide to check for pot control just in case they had 7-8. River card comes as a 5 of hearts. Here's the board. They check to me again. And now I'm going to go for value, but not just any value. I think if they have a pair of 9s in this spot, they're going to be calling me just about any size bet. So I go big for 125. They put in a quick call. I show my jacks, expect to win, and they show me 2 queens. Oh, didn't see that one coming. So after getting stuck at that one table, I decided to move over to a different table. There's an $8 straddle. First person limps. I look down at 2 9s. I make it 45. I think this is a pretty good sizing. I'll be happy to take down the blinds if they all fold, but if I get action, I got a pair of 9s. That's a pretty good hand. It's folded to the player in the center of the table. He has the shortest stack of this otherwise very deep table. I mean, I think there's like $14,000, $15,000 on this table, and he only has like 160 left. And he announces all in. So all the other players end up folding, and it comes back around to me. Now he's playing a short stack strategy, which involves probably waiting for premium hands in a very active game and just shoving. So I expect him to have a very strong range, mostly of pairs bigger than mine, and perhaps ace king or maybe even ace queen, but probably not much smaller than that. So when I make this call for 116, it's not a very good call. Most likely I'm beat here. And even though I'm getting a pretty good price to win a $340 pot, I'm probably way behind. Anyway, I look like a total genius when the flop comes out 9-3-3. Turn cards an 8, river cards a 10. So we're going to take this one down when my opponent shows 2 aces. It's nice to win a pot. I just wish it was against one of those deep stacks when I flop like that. I'm in the small blind with 9-7 suited. Normally I don't put a lot of value in these hands, but when they're suited one gappers on a deep table, you can make some straights and flushes that are very hidden. I put in a little limpy-do and we go off to a flop that comes 7 high. Not what I was looking for. If there's any serious action, I'm just going to fold my top pair. The player who was in the last hand with the aces, he bets out for $12. I've seen him do this before with like flush draws. So I'm thinking that's probably what he has. There was one other caller and I decided to call for the $12. Looking to improve and we catch a 9 of clubs. What a perfect card. So I check it over to him, hoping that he will continue like he has done in the past with flush draws. He puts out a bet for $30. The other player at the other end of the table puts in the fold, and now it's time just to go shove. So I shove. He has about $160, $170 left behind, and he goes deep into the tank. Now, when he's thinking this long, I'm pretty sure that he doesn't have a straight, of course, and that he probably has a hand like maybe a flush draw and a straight draw, or maybe I misread him and he has some sort of overpair. But he's really worried that he is beat, which he is at this point, and doesn't want to put his last dollars in. I mean, this is his, I think, his 3rd rebuy on his short stack. So he's probably maybe only bringing a couple bullets with him to the casino. So he thinks long and hard, kind of shows his neighbors his dilemma, and he puts in the chips. I announce that I have 2 pair, and then the 10 of spades comes on the river, and he shows king 9 of spades. Oh well. So we ended up leaving shortly after this and cashing out a loser for $190, which in the grand scheme of things isn't really much when you punt off some money with a ace-5 suited. When you make a large value bet with jacks and you run into someone who slow played queens all the way through the hand. And when you get a tough river card like this one on the end where they make their flush. But I got lucky on a couple other hands. I dodged some big bullets with that 3s full of aces when the other person had aces full of 10s. And when I had king queen suited and I got away cheap on the flop. So overall, I'm pleased with the way I played, except for the ace-5 hand. I think I could have really dodged that one. Quick foreshadow for the next vlog, which will be our 100th vlog. I decided to do every hand that I played in the session. It's a lot of work to put those together because there are a lot of hands involved and some of them are pretty damn boring. So I'm going to probably fast forward through some of those and give you the good stuff, but you're going to see every hand that was played during the session. So hit that notification bell. Make sure you don't miss this next one coming up next week. It is going to be a doozy. It's a fun-filled, action-packed session. Until next time, good luck at the tables, and we'll see you soon.
Just a reminder that Doug is going to be donating $1 for every new subscriber that signs up. The charity of his choosing was called Nova Ukraine. They support Ukrainians in this desperate time of need. If you guys would like to make a donation, you can choose the charity of your choice, or I suggest Nova Ukraine like Doug did, or you can hit Doug up at the casino and he makes sure that the money goes into the right charity. Also like to say thank you to Frank, who is a vlog supporter. He said he's going to match any donations up to $500 for the Ukrainian people. Thank you, Frank, for your support. All dogs, like me, love what you're doing.